YouTube has been losing its mind over the Audemars Piguet Royal Pop Oak thing, and once again I arrived slightly late. But this time there is a reason for that, because one day before the release, while I was in Glasgow, I briefly managed to get hands on with one. No footage allowed and no filming, and honestly I only held it for a few seconds. But during that brief moment I noticed something. I noticed something that I genuinely have not seen or heard anybody else talking about yet. A detail that completely changed the way I started looking at this collaboration. And trust me, I will tell you exactly what that hidden detail was at the end of this video. Because the deeper I looked at it, the less it started to feel like the watch release that people were hoping for, and the more it started to feel like a Tamagotchi hanging from a lanyard pretending to be horology. But here's the interesting part. While everybody else is arguing about whether this thing is genius or sacrilege, I think I've accidentally found the large corporation alternative that explains exactly why this collaboration feels so strange in the first place. And once you see the comparison, you genuinely cannot unsee it. I've also saved the ultimate alternative to this watch till almost the end of this video. Oh no, what have I done? Welcome back to HoroLogical. Now look, the AP Swatch Pop Oak absolutely looks good, no question, but that is also the trap, because what you're actually looking at here is the power of Gerald Genta's original 1970s design language, and that matters, because when a watch design is this strong, this recognisable, this culturally embedded, you can completely change the material, strip away the finishing, replace steel with bioceramic, plastic, colours, gimmicks, almost anything, and yet the core identity still survives. We already saw this with the MoonSwatch, we saw it again with the Blancpain Swatch collaboration. The design language itself became bulletproof. And that creates a strange question for luxury watchmaking, because if the silhouette alone still delivers the emotional hit, what exactly are people paying the luxury premium price for anymore? That is where this conversation starts becoming very uncomfortable. Because here's the thing, this wasn't released as a watch in the way that most people actually wanted. It arrived as a pocket watch on a lanyard, or as a tiny desk clock accessory. And look, that is completely fair enough as an experimental design object. But if we are being honest, most people wanted another wrist-worn collaboration, because the second this thing appeared online, you could almost hear the Chinese 3D printers warming up in the distance, prototyping. And make absolutely no mistake here, if Swatch do not release an official wrist strap conversion system, the aftermarket will fill that gap almost instantly, guaranteed. By the end of this week, someone somewhere will have already engineered a way to wear this thing on the wrist, and not just one way either. You will almost certainly be able to wear it as a conventional Royal Oak orientation, the one with the running seconds, or a full bullhead AP configuration with the crown rotated upwards like a motorsports chronograph experiment from the 1970s. Because the internet moves far faster than luxury corporations now. The moment a product creates a wearable possibility, the community finishes the design for them. And this is where things get really interesting, because the Seiko and Casio modding communities are probably only days away from solving this entire problem themselves. These communities already machine custom shrouds, they build titanium conversions, swap modules, re-engineer cases, and design integrated bracelets. They create watches that sometimes end up looking more ambitious than the official product release themselves. So the second Swatch left this thing hanging around someone's neck, instead of attaching it to a wrist, the modding world immediately saw unfinished business. And that leads me on to a very valid question, because for the price of this plastic collaboration piece, you could buy something like a Seiko Arnie. Perhaps even a special edition version like this Blue Lagoon here with a custom machined titanium shroud. Now suddenly we are talking about real wrist presence, real water resistance, real heritage and real functionality. A watch culture that actively encourages modification and ownership. And that is the uncomfortable comparison sitting underneath all of this. Because one product feels like a wearable tool watch platform with endless possibilities, and the other feels like a luxury branding experiment with nostalgia and virality. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it absolutely changes the conversation. And there is another deeper layer to all this as well, because for roughly half the price of this AP Royal Pop collaboration, you can buy something like the full metal Casioak, or perhaps a metal jacketed Casioak, the GM2110D, a watch that I have literally just tested in my Casio Quartz accuracy experiment against atomic time over 35 days. And honestly, the result might genuinely surprise people. So after this video, head over there and watch that test, because it accidentally creates a very interesting comparison to what Swatch and AP are doing here. Now, to be fair, I am not automatically saying that this modified non-rotor System 51 movement is going to be inaccurate. In fact, I already explored a huge amount of this territory in my Blancpain Swatch deep dive. Pardon the very cheap pun, but that video goes surprisingly deep, because many of the exact same criticisms, questions and assumptions that people are going to throw at this AP collaboration already appeared during the Blancpain release cycle. And some of the conclusions were not what people expected, which is why I think this conversation becomes far more interesting when you move beyond the outrage and start comparing what these watches actually represent inside modern watch culture. And if you've made it this far into this video, you're probably exactly the kind of collector that this channel was built for. So subscribe if you enjoy thoughtful watch content without the usual algorithmic panic attacks. But now we arrive at the real secret sauce part of this video, because last week at the Scottish Watch Show at Hampden Football Stadium, I completely blew the channel budget, and instead of spending that money in what currently feels like a slightly overhyped bioceramic collaboration cake, before the strap and bracelet icing has even been applied, I chose a very different path. I spent my money on a local Glasgow watch brand, and honestly, the deeper you think about it, the more interesting that decision becomes. Because what did I actually get for my money? A sapphire crystal, a completely unique case design, a sapphire exhibition caseback, an ETA F06105 movement. And it's not just a generic off-the-shelf quartz Bosch movement either. It's custom decorated. It's a laser-etched ETA quartz calibre. How quirky is that? Then you move on to the dial, a lacquer on brass construction with its own very special collaboration typography. Typography that was created alongside the Ono Type Foundry in San Jose. Have you guessed what it is yet? No? Oh no, this is the Paulin Ono Modul Quartz, and trust me, this watch deserves its own full video, which will be coming to the channel in the next couple of weeks, because what I have really achieved here, well, firstly, I supported my own local watchmaking community, because Paulin and their sister company anOrdain, they employ real people from the Glasgow community, and secondly, I bought something that genuinely stands out in the crowd. This isn't algorithmic hype, this is not limited drop panic buying, an actual design object with its own identity, a watch that will look unique at virtually any watch meet anywhere in the world. And honestly, that matters to me more and more now. Sometimes you don't buy the watch, you buy the people behind the watch, because there is something incredibly powerful about being able to travel the world with a small slice of your own city on your wrist, a piece of local design language, a piece of local creativity, a piece of home, and in a strange way, I think that says more about modern watch culture than the AP Swatch collaboration ever could. So in conclusion, before you rush out and spend money with Swatch, maybe pause for a second and ask yourself a different question. Is there a local brand that you could be supporting instead? A watch connected to your own city, your own culture, your own design community? Because watches become far more interesting when they can carry stories. Stories about design, stories about craftsmanship, and stories about the people who actually made them. And those conversations tend to last far longer than hype cycles do, because when you start analysing this whole AP Swatch release through that lens, it increasingly feels like Swatch are cutting slices of the collaboration cake before that thing has even been allowed to rest out of the oven. The hype arrives first, then the accessories, then the modifications, then we get to the wearable solutions, then I might show some interest. The community will effectively be finishing this product in real time, like a modern computer game release now, patch, 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 patch. Now, to be completely fair, I absolutely reserve the right to eat my own words here, because if somebody produces a properly engineered black PVD coated integrated bracelet system for this watch head that allows me to wear this monochrome AP Swatch pop as a full Royal Oak bullhead, then honestly I may very well end up joining the queue myself. And one final thing before I end this video: behind every one of these hype releases there are ordinary Swatch staff who have to stand inside shopping centres dealing with queues, panic and frustration, resale chaos, and occasionally genuinely aggressive behaviour over what is ultimately still just a watch. And honestly, that part of modern watch culture is becoming increasingly uncomfortable as well, because enthusiasm is healthy, community is healthy, but no retail worker deserves to feel stressed, intimidated or unsafe because somebody couldn't buy a colourful collaboration release. And now the hidden detail I noticed while in Glasgow, because this actually directly links back to something that I said in my Blancpain Swatch Ocean of Storms video. At the time, I said the quality of the bioceramic material had noticeably improved compared to the earlier MoonSwatch releases. I owned two of those very early colourful MoonSwatches, and the difference was obvious. The Ocean of Storms, and especially the Green Abyss, already felt more refined, more solid, more mature, but after briefly handling this new AP collaboration in Glasgow, I genuinely think Swatch have iterated this material yet again, because the detail resolution that they have managed to achieve on these waffle dials, it is on an entirely different level to that early MoonSwatch generation, and honestly, I do not think that those earlier versions could have physically achieved this level of dial sophistication. And yes, I did manage to get one very cheeky photograph once the display had been placed in the shop window. And when you zoom in, you can really start to see what I mean here. Earlier Swatch bioceramic, it simply was just not this refined. So while everybody is understandably focused on the hype, the collaboration, the resale madness that's going on already, and the internet arguments, I actually think one of the most important things happening here is that Swatch have quietly continued developing the material itself behind the scenes. And honestly, it is strangely fitting that the bioceramic platform, it seems to have properly came of age during Swatch's first true Holy Trinity collaboration, because you can absolutely imagine the pressure happening internally here, especially with the release reportedly being delayed. You can very easily picture Audemars Piguet pushing Swatch to the absolute limit on finishing execution and dial quality before allowing this thing out into the real world. And credit where it's due here, the new AP CEO, Ilaria Resta, has clearly been extremely diligent about the dial details here, because in person the dials are absolute killers. You genuinely need to see one for yourself. And perhaps the funniest part of all of this is that while I have literally been editing this video, multiple companies already appear to have imminent wrist conversion systems in development, including Delugs, who many people will already know through Andrew Morgan, which basically proves the exact point that I made earlier in this video. The internet saw an unfair finished wearable concept and immediately started finishing the product in real time. And remember, watch collecting isn't logical, but it is horological.